Hello everyone, and welcome to Earth Archives. Today, we'll take you on a journey through time to explore the fascinating life story of the Baroque music master, Antonio Vivaldi. From the small northern Italian town of Brescia to the musical capital Venice, and then to the royal courts of Europe, Vivaldi wove a legendary tale through his violin and his role as a clergyman. Whether you're a classical music lover or simply want to learn about one of the great figures in music history, this video will give you an in-depth look at how the Red Priest became the father of the concerto and created the timeless masterpiece, The Four Seasons. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to get the latest captivating stories about classical music. Now, let's step into Vivaldi's musical world together. In the year 1666, a significant event happened in the small northern Italian town of Brescia. An elderly tailor passed away, leaving behind his young son, Giovanni Battista Vivaldi. This young man did not choose to stay in his hometown. Instead, he moved south with his mother to the enchanting city of Venice, the city of canals. The pace of life in Venice was completely different from Brescia's, and this city, rich with waterways and musical spirit, opened up a whole new world for Giovanni and his family. Giovanni's background was quite interesting. Originally, he was a tailor, specializing in custom-made clothing, but his passion had long surpassed fabrics and needles. Since childhood, he had a deep love for music, especially the violin, which seemed to be naturally made for him. Although he had to rely on tailoring for his livelihood during the day, in the evenings and during free time, he would pick up his violin and play beautiful melodies that filled the entire home with the soul of art. 10 years later, Giovanni married Camilla Colicchio, who also came from a family of tailors. The couple shared a sweet and loving relationship, bringing even more warmth and hope to their home. 2 years after their marriage, their first child was born, Antonio Lucio Vivaldi, who would later become the central figure of this entire story. Antonio was the eldest of 9 children in the family. Not only was he the firstborn, but he also possessed the most dazzling musical talent. From a young age, his father Giovanni acted like a strict yet caring teacher, meticulously teaching him how to play the violin. Imagine this scene. Little Antonio carrying a tiny violin on his back, walking through the winding alleys of Venice, sunlight slanting down on the cobblestone streets, the sound of the canals blending harmoniously with the violin's melodious strings, a romantic dialogue between the city and music. In 1685, at just 7 years old, Antonio experienced a pivotal moment that would change the course of his life. His father Giovanni was employed by St. Mark's Basilica as a violinist. Though it might seem like an ordinary job, St. Mark's Basilica was no ordinary church. It was the private chapel of the Doge of Venice, a place of great prestige with a rich musical atmosphere. Because of his father's position, young Antonio had frequent access to this magnificent hall, surrounded by top musicians and the purest Baroque compositions. Here, young Antonio was like a sponge, absorbing every bit of musical nourishment. Every day, he immersed himself in the masterful performances, feeling the rhythm of the notes and the emotional ebb and flow within those magnificent compositions. Over time, he was no longer just a listener, but began to participate in the church's musical activities, gradually standing out among his peers. Some even said that his tone and technique started to make him his father's successor, slowly replacing Giovanni's position in the church. In 1693, the slender Antonio Vivaldi officially embarked on his religious career. At the time, a Venetian priest, none other than the future Cardinal Badoer, personally performed the tonsure ceremony for him. This ritual, symbolizing the beginning of a new life, marked his formal entry into the priesthood. Imagine it, a young, red-haired priest with an air of scholarly grace, carrying a violin on his shoulder, as if to tell the world that music and faith can coexist in perfect harmony. Although Vivaldi held a clerical position, he never let go of his love for music. On the contrary, he skillfully combined his priestly duties with music, becoming a central force in promoting church music. Vivaldi's music was more than just performance. It was a spiritual expression. His melodies echoed beneath the church's domes, bringing comfort and inspiration to the faithful. He told stories of faith through notes and built musical bridges to heaven. During this period, Vivaldi was like a dual-career artist, both clergyman and musician. Every church service and celebration was incomplete without his musical presence. In the Christmas of 1696, 18-year-old Antonio Vivaldi reached a significant milestone in his life. His first public performance at a celebration held at St. Mark's Basilica in Venice. His violin's melodious and lively sound, combined with his exquisite playing technique, amazed everyone present. It was as if the notes were dancing in the air, lighting up the entire atmosphere of the church. This moment not only solidified his position in Venice's music scene, but also laid a strong foundation for his future musical career. As his reputation quickly grew, Vivaldi soon became a member of the prestigious Musicians' Guild, a group that gathered the finest musical talents in Venice and provided him with a broad platform for development. In 1698, he began serving as deputy conductor at the Church of Santa Maria della Salute, and thanks to his outstanding leadership and musical insight, he was soon promoted to the church's official conductor. At the age of 25, Antonio Vivaldi became a priest at the Church of Santa Maria della Pieta. With his striking, fiery, red hair, he quickly earned the nickname the Red Priest. This nickname wasn't just a nod to his unusual appearance. It became a distinctive emblem, making him instantly memorable to those who heard his name. But don't be mistaken, Vivaldi was far more than just a clergyman. Deep within him burned a passion for music that far surpassed his devotion to the priesthood. Although he dutifully conducted Mass for less than 2 years, it was clear that his true calling lay not at the altar, but in the realm of melody and composition. After leaving his official church duties, Vivaldi didn't stray far from sacred places. Instead, he devoted his passion to Venice's renowned Ospedale della Pieta, a prestigious orphanage for girls. This institution was the most famous among the 4 major girls' orphanages in Venice, providing not only a safe haven, but also musical education to help the girls change their destinies. Vivaldi worked there as a violin teacher, earning an annual salary of about 60 ducats, a very high wage at the time. Speaking of ducats, they were medieval European gold coins, with Venice's gold ducat especially well recognized internationally and regarded as hard currency, roughly equivalent to today's British pounds or US dollars. During his time at the orphanage, Vivaldi was not only a gentle teacher, but also a fully devoted artist. He taught violin techniques and began actively composing music, especially creating a series of small concertos and sonatas tailored for the orphanage's girls' orchestra. Imagine those young girls, dressed simply yet neatly, performing in Venice's ancient church with pure and clear voices and instruments, drawing more and more Italian visitors to stop and listen. These works not only boosted the orphanage's reputation, but also gradually brought Vivaldi's musical genius to wider recognition and praise. However, Vivaldi's relationship with the orphanage was not always smooth. In 1709, he lost his teaching position by a narrow vote of 7-6, which was undoubtedly a blow to him. Yet his talent and popularity allowed him to be rehired the following year, and by 1713, he was appointed head of the orphanage's musical activities. Even more impressively, in 1716, he was promoted to conductor of the orchestra. These honors fully demonstrated his irreplaceability and his dual abilities in both management and music. While maintaining a stable position at the orphanage, Vivaldi began to explore opera composition. From then on, he became deeply immersed in the world of opera, with an endless flow of creative inspiration. By 1739, he had completed over 50 operatic works. This achievement not only cemented his status as a master of the violin, but also elevated him to one of the most influential figures in Italian Baroque music. In 1718, Vivaldi reached a major turning point in his life. He was invited to Mantua to become the conductor of the private orchestra of Prince Filippo d'Ambo d'Este. The prince was a passionate music lover and patron of the arts, providing Vivaldi with a rare and prestigious platform to showcase his talents. Imagine Vivaldi conducting the orchestra in the splendid palace, surrounded by nobles dressed in elegant attire, with applause and praise filling the grand hall. During these 3 years in Mantua, Vivaldi not only fully displayed his musical genius, but also took the opportunity to connect with more members of the aristocracy, expanding his fame from Venice to a broader noble circle. During this period, his compositions grew more diverse, and his musical style matured, laying a solid foundation for his future success on the musical stages of Italy and across Europe. In 1722, Vivaldi reached another peak in his career. He was invited by Pope Benedict XIII to perform in Rome, a highest recognition of his musical talent. Nobles and church leaders in Rome opened their doors to him, commissioning numerous operas and religious music pieces. On the stages of this ancient city, Vivaldi showcased his astonishing creativity and conducting skills, rapidly making his name known throughout Italy and across Europe. For years later, in 1726, he chose to return to the familiar city of Venice to take up the position of music director at the Teatro Sant'Angelo. This role not only established him as a pillar of Venice's music scene, but also catapulted his fame throughout the European musical world. The Teatro Sant'Angelo became his stage for displaying his talents, attracting many musicians and music lovers alike. In 1728, Vivaldi's life reached another brilliant highlight. He had the honor of meeting Emperor Charles VI of the Holy Roman Empire in person. The emperor was not only full of praise for Vivaldi's musical genius, but, during a lengthy conversation, spent more time speaking with Vivaldi than he had with all his ministers combined over 2 years. This rare encounter not only skyrocketed Vivaldi's reputation, but also earned him an honorary title and a precious medal bestowed personally by the emperor. As a token of gratitude, Vivaldi specially presented the emperor with a handwritten manuscript of his musical score, a gift regarded as a priceless artistic treasure. Following this, Charles VI warmly invited Vivaldi to serve at the Viennese court, performing for the royal family and directing music. When it comes to Vivaldi's operatic works, the most unforgettable is undoubtedly Farnese. This opera is based on true history from ancient Rome, focusing on King Farnese of Pontus and his wife Tamari. The story portrays their tragic choices and inner struggles in the face of defeat and enemy oppression. Vivaldi used delicate musical language to depict the emotional ups and downs and the radiant humanity of the characters, deeply immersing the audience in the sorrow, joy, and dramatic tension of the narrative. In 1730, Vivaldi took Farnese on a touring journey to Vienna and Prague with his father. The opera was an outstanding success, not only cementing his status in the European opera scene, but also allowing more people to experience his extraordinary talent in musical theater. Farnese became a classic example of Baroque opera and helped Vivaldi's fame spread far and wide, making him one of the most revered composers of his era. Vivaldi's musical output was truly prolific, with over 500 concertos to his name, an astonishingly rich collection. Among his works, the most representative are L'Estro Armonico, the Harmonic Inspiration, and the globally beloved The Four Seasons. Speaking of the Four Seasons, these 4 violin concertos are like vivid musical paintings that perfectly capture the blossoming flowers, babbling brooks, and birdsong of spring, the radiant sunshine of summer, the abundant harvests of autumn, and the icy, biting cold of winter. What makes it even more special is that Vivaldi wrote accompanying sonnets for each concerto, allowing listeners to see the changing seasons through music and feel the subtle emotions of nature. Truly a breathtaking experience. Besides these nature-themed works, Vivaldi also composed a vast amount of sacred and ceremonial music, such as the Solemn and Grand Gloria for weddings, showing his deep respect for the divine and life's significant moments. His musical style is a quintessential example of Baroque drama and strong contrasts, brilliantly developing the fast-slow-fast 3-movement concerto form, which became a model for later generations of composers. By the mid-18th century, As the tide of classical music gradually rose, Vivaldi's richly ornate and dramatic Baroque style began to be replaced by newer musical trends. His music slowly faded from public view, and in his later years, Vivaldi faced unprecedented hardships. In 1737, when he attempted to stage an opera in Ferrara to raise funds, he met with strong opposition from the church. As a priest, his frequent involvement in secular opera activities drew harsh criticism, and he was even accused of improper conduct, accusations that left him deeply disappointed and disheartened. These setbacks compelled him to leave the Italy that had nurtured him and seek new opportunities in Vienna, where Charles VI had once favored him. To afford the move, he was forced to sell many precious manuscripts, works that had once shone brilliantly, but now became his means of survival. However, life in Vienna was far from the bright prospects he had hoped for. After Charles VI's death, the War of the Austrian Succession broke out. Theaters were forced to close, and without royal patronage, Vivaldi's artistic career entered an unprecedented winter. In July 1741, Vivaldi's health rapidly declined, and he died alone in a foreign land at the age of 63. The once celebrated Red Priest, renowned throughout Europe, was ultimately buried in a simple pauper's grave in a local public cemetery. The residence where he spent his final days has long since been demolished, and even his burial site has vanished with the passage of time. Yet, Vivaldi's music and spirit have never been forgotten. On Vienna's Music Avenue, a special monument called the Heart of Vivaldi has been erected to forever honor the great contributions of this Baroque music master. He was not only a founder of the concerto form, but also the soul of musical innovation in his era. Although his later years were fraught with hardship, Vivaldi's melodies continue to resonate worldwide, bringing endless inspiration and emotion to people everywhere. Vivaldi's musical style is especially notable for his innovation and refinement of the concerto form. He pioneered the alternating dialogue between the solo instrument and the orchestra, using vivid tonal colors and rhythmic contrasts to create intense dramatic tension, infusing each melody with vitality and emotional power. This three-movement structure of fast, slow, fast not only became the standard of the Baroque era, but also laid the foundation for concertos in the later Romantic period, leaving a lasting influence. Vivaldi's musical genius reached across Europe, and his breakthroughs and masterful arrangements in the concerto inspired great composers like Johann Sebastian Bach, who even transcribed some of his works. Vivaldi's melodies are bright and rhythmically dynamic, full of drama and emotional intensity, making him one of the most brilliant representatives of Baroque music. However, it is poignant to note that this father of the concerto was once forgotten after his death. It wasn't until the mid-20th century, when music scholars rediscovered his manuscripts and works, that Vivaldi re-emerged into the public eye and was highly acclaimed as a giant of Baroque music and a founding figure of the concerto form. Today, his name and music have become an indispensable part of global classical music, forever shining in the constellation of world music history. Thank you for reading this far. Vivaldi's life was filled with both talent and hardship, yet his music transcends time and continues to move countless people. If you enjoyed this story about Vivaldi, please like and share it with your friends who love music. Feel free to leave a comment below telling us which of Vivaldi's works is your favorite, or which classical music master's story you'd like to learn about next. We will keep bringing you more wonderful content. Remember to subscribe to our channel. More stories are waiting for you. Thanks for your support, and see you in the next episode.